True North Reviews. True North Reviews. True North Reviews.
Hey there, welcome to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are discussing the Paul McCartney album, McCartney III. This is the 18th solo album, and as you would guess, the third entry into the McCartney series, the longest gap spanning its predecessor's release. Going all the way back to 1980, it has been 40 years. Of course, Paul has released other projects since then, his most recent solo work in 2018 with Egypt Station, which I thought was a respectable return for Sir Paul, enough for a strong 6 to a light 7 from me, but again, nothing worthy of praise like prime-era Wings. Actually, ever since the 80s and with that McCartney II project, I'd argue it's been a dormant period for McCartney. Still relevant because he is one of the remaining Beatles members, but not in the headlines like he once used to be. But happily, I'm here today to spread the news that this new McCartney album is good. Really good, actually, that it deserves praise even amongst the contemporary writers of today. And that's no easy feat, of course, since Paul has collaborated numerously as he's gotten older, bringing on A-list producers to help. But in the year 2020, where most people are twiddling their thumbs looking for something to do, Paul capitalized on this pivot point in time and chose to exercise his DIY talents while reviving his true solo project, the now McCartney trilogy. Something that is as timely as it is creative in the year 2020, performing and producing your own music. This record wastes no time grabbing the listener's attention with Long-Tailed Winter Bird. This is an expanded intro with plenty of harmonics and licks on the acoustic guitar, each passage growing more experimental than the previous. The virtuosity and imaginative ideas on this intro track are beyond commendable. Seriously, if you're not hooked within the first 10 seconds, I don't know what's going to reel you in. Unless, of course, it is the rock jam of Slidin, which has a heavy groove, turned up distortion, and multiple time signatures. Slidin is living proof that Paul can still rock and roll, and not in an outdated way. This is new, this is fresh, just as any other inspired rock song that Paul has penned over the years. Arguably, something that McCartney hasn't been very well known for doing over the years is writing songs in the vein of the 1980s. Delightfully, though, the tracks Find My Way and Seize the Day engage with light and infectious little tunes accompanied by soft Queen Brian May style guitar leads. It's almost as if Paul is redeeming himself for his low points of music making in the 80s. That's how good these songs are. Sticking to his songwriting chops, Paul ventures into songs that shaped his Wings catalog and style with The Kiss of Venus. On this track, Paul effortlessly hits his falsettos and glides back down smoothly in register for his verses. To round out this song, there is a marvelous harpsichord passage that you don't want to miss. Really ties this song together in a blissful and lovely manner. Lavatory Lil is another cut on here that simplifies 70s rock in a single moment. It's a jam-style track that has short bursts of electric guitar riffs and an irresistible descending bass line. It's hard not to groove along with this one, even if the runtime clocks in just around 2.5 minutes. It's also hard not to appreciate this jam when you know this is Paul doing everything on his own. He's making this song, he's performing it, he's producing it. He really just found a groove and nailed it. Electing to slow things down for a couple tunes, Pretty Boys is an acoustic slow burn that turns into a slick and easy listening groove matched with Paul's downplayed vocal melody. Women and Wives is another slow song, almost uneventful if it weren't for the interesting chord progression and tune's shape and downcast mood. But there is also a wobbly vocal performance from Paul on this track. I don't know if it was done on purpose, but it's certainly the shakiest and most questionable key for Paul to be singing in. Maybe it's more of a sign of his old age, which is to be expected, but still disappointing. What isn't disappointing, though, are the tunes Deep Deep Feeling and Deep Down, the former being an 8-minute opus with about 4 or 5 different legs to it. It experiments with vocal layering, processing, and eerie string arrangements. The ominous and looming atmosphere keeps things entertaining, along with the aptly timed drum breaks and guitar guitar strumming in the final leg of Deep Deep Feeling. Meanwhile, Deep Down is like a reprise or an extended tag to Deep Deep Feeling. I love the short punches of brass instrumentation that spice up this track while Paul tries to conjure up this feeling of deep love and pain. Beyond the deepest and darkest emotions on this record, though, Paul, of course, he can't escape his Beatles-style songwriting that he once did. When Winter Comes being the obvious example, lyrics that are somewhat on the fantasy side of things, a tad cutesy and cheesy, essentially what John Lennon hated to hear. Possibly taking inspiration from Here Comes the Sun, instead of singing about coming out of a long winter, Winter Bird is about going into harsh weather. Either way, I love the raw and intimate setting for this closer that sends off a winter album that was also released in the dead of winter. Poetry at its most unspecific, but also most powerful. Speaking of powerful, this Paul McCartney record is exactly that. With a couple of blips along the way that slow down and shuffle the pacing, this album is a major improvement over Egypt Station, and come on, there's no you here, so that's a winner for everyone involved. Another big win is I got so much enjoyment from this record that I'm convinced to say that this is Paul's best work since his days of Wings. Keep in mind it might not be the most lyrically varied or fleshed out, but McCartney III is still an insight into the creative mind of Sir Paul McCartney, who can kick it with rock songs that are modern, fresh, and interesting even after they hit the 5-minute mark. With all that being said, I am feeling an 8 out of 10 on this project. There's the Paul McCartney review. Make sure you guys sound off down below in the comments. Tell me what you guys think of this music. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm here to engage with you guys. If you'd like to leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town. I'd appreciate that as always. Thanks for watching, and have a rockin' day.